87% of realtors that get into the business get out of the business after 2 years. That does not exist in our world.
We have massive visions around growing our businesses, and we are always looking to add talent to our world. We do everything in our power to ensure the people we surround ourselves with defy the odds, get into production, and build massive lives for themselves.
We have interviewed some of the top realtors in the world. If you're a new realtor, a top producer, or CEO of a mega team, Sales Beast Podcast is your blueprint for success.
With locations all across Canada, reach out to us to talk about partnership and opportunities. We are looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm the boss.
Welcome back to another Sales Beast episode. Today we are joined by the lovely Holly Chris from the Golfi team. Looking really forward to getting to know you and hearing a lot about your story. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Excited to be on your show.
Thanks for having us. I know there's a lot of back and forth getting you on the podcast. We're both busy, but it's super exciting. We know lots about your team. We've obviously experienced working with the Golfi team a lot. And so now we're excited to dive deep and learn a little bit about where you came in, because you've been with them for how long now?
Just over 4 years. I just celebrated my 4th anniversary here.
Congratulations. Very
Thank
exciting.
you. It's been a crazy ride. A lot of changes over 4 years.
I can imagine. Well, why don't we take it back to when you first started? Tell us a little bit about how that opportunity came about and some of the things that have happened since.
Sure. So I'm not actually a licensed agent, which sometimes can come as a surprise for the sales director on a team to not be licensed. But my background's entirely in sales. So started out in sales at 18 in the media industry, got into leadership there. And when I made the move over to Golfi, I was regional director of sales for the Halton Media Group for Metroland, which is actually just recently closed a lot of those offices. So it turned out to be a really great move after all. So Rob had reached out. A mutual friend of ours knew that he was looking for a sales leader to join his team. And he was specifically looking for an unlicensed sales leader because he wanted that person to not be distracted doing their own deals and things like that, and didn't want kind of a conflict of interest as far as like distributing leads and things like that. So Rob reached out, and it was funny because I had been with that company for 15 years at that time, and I didn't even have a resume. Like there was no thought in my mind of leaving at that point. I was really stable in that role. So it was a tough decision to make. Met with Rob. He said, what would it take to make a move? And I said, well, right now my kids are dropped off at daycare at 7 a.m. They're picked up close to 6 o'clock at night because I worked in Burlington and live in Hamilton. And I said, more of a balance. My oldest is starting school. I'd love to walk him to school and pick him up. So more flexible hours. What are your thoughts? He said, sure. So it was purely a move for my family at that time. Little did I know at that time that it was going to be so much more once I made the move. So joined the team in October 2019, which obviously was very, things changed quickly after that. So 2019 joined. And it was certainly met with a lot of hesitation from the current members of the team. So we had, I think there were about 5 employees, anywhere from 3 to 5 employees at that time, and 23 agents, many of which had been on the team for a long time. So they certainly didn't feel like they needed a manager. They didn't need somebody to micromanage, and they made sure that they told me that. But I just kind of kept sharing with them that I'm here to help them increase their sales. I'm not going to be a deal killer. I'm going to be someone who's helping them advance in their skills and hopefully open the door to a more efficient career and also a more fruitful one. So that was kind of how I started.
I love that. That's such a cool story. So obviously you were kind of headhunted by Golfi himself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, so coming into a brand new industry, obviously sales kind of applies across the board, but coming into a brand new industry, what do you feel like was the biggest thing that you had to learn from the start?
Yeah, like just admitting that I don't know. So like they're looking at me saying like, what, like you're not licensed, you've never worked in this industry. Like, what do you really have to offer? And my response to that is like, I'm going to learn from you guys. So I had lunch I gained like 15 pounds during this time because I had lunch every day with a different agent. It was actually at Le Prestige before Le Prestige closed. And so I tried like every single dish on their menu. And so I went to lunch. I asked them about their families. I asked them, what their goals were, where we were falling short, where they needed more support. And I learned the business through them, and I learned the business through those conversations. And my goal in leaving those lunches, like I would have kind of a notebook that I kept in my car, and I'd hop in my car after lunch and I would just basically empty my brain of all the things I learned during that lunch. And then I had another list that just had the names of all 23 agents and basically a done or not done. And I had to find, my goal was to find a win with one of them, with each and every one of them. And once I was able to help them in some way, I would basically check it off. Okay, I've been resourceful for this person now. And that was my way of building trust with them and basically proving to them that I'm here to help, and that I'm not just, a hindrance to their day-to-day life. So there were lots of bumps in the road for sure. But I learned this business through listening to them, and through listening to Rob, and through masterminds, and through podcasts, and all the things that we have access to that, if we dig deep enough, we can certainly find our way, I think, if you're resourceful.
Yeah, I think it's so important to know, you coming in, not licensed, no experience in real estate, must have been super challenging, because you're also trying to create credibility and validity to people that maybe have in their minds the fact that they can do things better than you or whatever. And obviously in turn that creates some kind of imposter syndrome initially. How are you able to overcome those challenges initially, aside from taking the lunches and trying to get the wins, but internally and maybe mindset wise, how are you able to overcome that?
I think imposter syndrome never goes away. I have imposter syndrome right now. Why am I on this podcast? There's got to be more qualified people that you can interview. It's I think that's part of challenging yourself. I think when you feel you're in over your head, when you feel you don't belong somewhere, that's, I think, reassurance that you're in the right place, because you're challenging yourself and you're growing and you're doing the things that you need to advance in your career. So I think imposter syndrome or anxiety or all these things that we feel a lot of the time is, in my just as a mindset shift, reassurance that you're doing the right things. You're putting yourself in the right rooms. If you feel you're the smallest person in that room, you're in the right room, because you want to surround yourself with people who are bigger and who are better than you. And that's one thing that I've learned from Rob, is he's a part of so many different mastermind groups, and he's a part of them. And it's a lot of time dedicated and a lot of commitment. But that is what has helped him grow. You don't want to be the biggest fish in the room. You want to be one of the little guys who are picking up and learning all of these nuggets from people. So, when we were doing 500 deals a year, you wanted to rub shoulders with rub elbows with people doing 1,000. Now we want to be in rooms with people doing 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 deals, because we want to figure out how they're doing it.
Yeah, I think one of our podcast mottos is you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And I totally agree with you. If you're in an uncomfortable position, or you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable room, you're going to grow a lot more from that than a happy-go-lucky type of scenario that is super easing, because then you're probably not going to learn anything.
Yeah. And you end up having to practice your craft. Last week we put on these events called Win in Any Market. We run them twice a year. Last event, we had just over 300 people at it. It's a free event for agents. We bring in amazing guest speakers, invite everybody in, have a vendor marketplace after. It's a great day for agents to network with each other and learn. Mm-hmm. And so I am seated, I usually host the event. So I have to be on stage, I have to hold the microphone, which is not my natural thing to do. But before leading up to it, and leading up to different speaking engagements that I've had, I'm researching public speaking techniques. I'm practicing. I'm saying it out loud. I'm recording myself. When you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, it's good, because if you're committed to growth and you're committed to doing better, then you're going to, adopt new skills. You're going to, get outside your comfort zone and all those types of things. That it's good for me. It's good for the agents to see that I'm, doing exactly what I'm encouraging them to do. And that is practice your craft, constantly be trying to better yourself, watching podcasts, reading, learning, and being better every day.
Yeah, you're leading by example. You said something at the beginning that I wanted to take it back to. You said the agents had, like, when you came in, the agents didn't want a manager. For you, do you feel like you're a manager or you're more of a leader?
Yeah, definitely more of a leader. Going in, like they just, all they saw was manager. And I understand that too. Like, people don't get into this business because they want a manager. Like, in a lot of cases, people have left a corporate environment because they want to be entrepreneurial and they want to be their own boss. And I empower that. Like, that's a good thing. But I think I really, like, I had to earn their trust and I had to earn their respect. And that's how it should be. Like, I don't think that just because someone comes in, you slap a title on them, that all of a sudden a team is supposed to bow to their every, demand, right? Like, it had to really, everything that happened and the struggles that I faced at the beginning, I wouldn't have had it any other way, because, I want them to challenge me. I want them to be able to understand, how I can support them in every unique way. And that was me figuring out how I can help, agent number one uniquely, agent number two. Like, I also can't expect that I can effectively lead them all in the same way either. Like, there's no blanket leadership, basically. Like, the way that I have to lead one personality type is completely different from another, in order to be effective. So it was perfect. Like, it was hard, and it was everything it needed to be, for it to, lay the foundation for, a successful future. And do we still, 4 years in, I've earned the respect of most of them, if not all of them at this point. I would say all of them. But it hasn't come without its challenges, and it still has its challenges every now and then. But that's okay. Like, it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, that was a big takeaway for me in growing up within the real estate industry, is like, a manager, a leader, whatever position you hold does not dictate your actual leadership skills. And then I also read the book, The 5 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, if you know that book. Levels of Leadership.
There's one similar. It has a similar title. It's not that same one, but yes.
Yeah, so that one is such a good book. I feel like you would really appreciate it, because the first level, like, they say there's 5 levels. The first level is position, and people can either make or break the relationship that they have with their coworkers by being a positional leader and not allowing themselves to go to the next level. So when you get to, like, if you eventually get to, like, a level 3 leadership, your people will only grow to the extent that you do. So they'll only get to level 2. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've done to grow your leadership skills?
Oh gosh, well, getting coaches, like being coachable yourself. I don't have all the answers. I certainly don't. So our coach is John Cheplack. We started coaching with him very soon after I started in January 2020. So it was only a couple months after I started. So he's been like a massive, guiding light for us. And so I meet with him weekly. Actually, my call is just after this. And I'm able to really just share, okay, this is the scenario. How should I handle this? Or how should I handle that? So having a coach, Rob has had many different coaches over the years. I think that, typically people, sometimes you can find this perfect fit and you end up coaching with them forever. Other times you outgrow those coaches and you need to kind of move on to the next one. But I think everybody needs a coach. We have multiple. We have John Cheplack, who is our coach directly. Rob and I are on those calls every week. We also have, we operate our business on an EOS model. Are you familiar with Traction Rocket Fuel?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we have an implementer. So we have an EOS coach. And then our top 16 agents on our team are coached by Marianne Gillespie. So I think, are you guys coached by Marianne? I think
Yeah.
Mike is, right? Yeah.
My sister is as well, actually.
Okay, cool. So we love coaches, and then we also coach people ourselves. So I'm one of Cheplack's coaches, so I coach other teams around North America as well. So coaching is definitely one of the big ones. Personal development, setting goals, holding yourself accountable, leading by example. Like there's so many elements to, getting to the point where you are this great leader. Like I think receiving feedback. We twice a year do a feedback loop on our team and we have one out right now. We present the findings of that feedback loop to the team so that it's very, very transparent. And then the team knows exactly when we are making change that they've recommended. So, positive communication, clear and transparent goals. And a lot of that stuff is structured through the EOS model. So anybody that's not familiar with EOS, it is worth reading the book Traction. It was a game changer for our business for sure to operate on that system.
I love that. And I think that's often overlooked. I get a million surveys every year, but then what happens afterwards? If you show your people, your partners, what you're doing to take action on the feedback that they provided, they're just going to see it as worthless and then eventually not respond to your feedback surveys or not take advantage of that at all.
And it doesn't happen right away. So like, obviously we can't do, sometimes we can't do it. And I'll address that. So, the feedback loop, we'll be presenting it at a quarterly meeting that we call State of the Company Address, SOCA. So that is when we bring our entire team together in person. So we have it at movie theater in Hamilton. We get everybody popcorn and pop, and we basically talk about where we've been, where we are, where we're going. Rob does kind of a market overview, and twice a year, I present the feedback results. So basically the questions are, what do you want us to do more of? What do you want us to do less of? What do you want us to start doing? What do you want us to stop doing? And what is your happiness rating on a scale of 1 to 10? And I summarize the feedback, and I act so it is very, very transparent. And let's say there's one. So for example, okay, so for example, at our last one, what came up very regularly with the team was increased lead flow. I want more leads. Well, that was great because it allowed us to say, okay, we see that lead flow is down. We know that it's not because of the money that we're investing in lead flow, because in fact, we're investing more money in lead generation than we are this time last year. It's the market. It's how the different lead sources that we had been using were working. So from there, it was like, okay, this is a real big issue. We need to prioritize it. That became one of our priorities for the next quarter, to tackle and increase lead flow. Since that spring, now from spring to fall, our lead flow is back up to normal standards. It's more than doubled in its numbers. It's been a combination of the market obviously changing a little bit, but not a lot. But it's just been us shifting how we are generating leads for the team. So, and now we're able to go into fall and present that. And now when I'm seeing the results come in from this feedback loop, I'm not seeing leads coming up as an issue, which is cool, because it's like, okay, great, we've solved it. And, if you see things coming up, time after time on those feedback loops, like, you have to address those things, because you're going to end up losing great people.
100%. Those have to be priorities, or at least addressed in a way that makes sense for everybody. If it can be fixed,
and sometimes we'll say no, like sometimes we'll say, sometimes people say, I want you to stop growing the team. I like a smaller team. And I'll say, well, we're never going to stop growing the team. We are going to only grow the team for the right people. But we will continue to grow the team with the right people in those seats. And our priority will always be to increase the marketing budget along with our agent count, so that, we've got Sharon, for example, who's been on the team for over 15 years. I don't want agent 1 to be impacted by agent 76. Like, we have to make sure that we are continuing to offer the same or more resources to those agents as we grow the team. And that has been what we've followed through on.
Yeah, I think it's such a weird mindset to get into. And like this could be so many different ways that we could take this, but for you, I'm in your position as well. You have to keep growing to provide more opportunity, to keep up with costs, to keep up with expenses, but people still want the culture. And I think maybe that's what maybe they don't realize. It's the culture that they want. It's not necessarily a bigger team that they don't want. It's the culture and the environment. So what are some things that you do to keep the culture, the environment?
A lot. So for anybody that doesn't know Rob, he's a very fun guy. He loves to have fun, and he invests a lot in our team culture every single year. So we have very regular get-togethers. The team is sort of obsessed with each other. Everyone loves having fun and getting together. So like, you know, through COVID, when we weren't able to do that as much, like it really killed the team. So now we get together very regularly. We have an annual awards that we go like total like glitz and glam at. It's a beautiful event. So we do that. We have a softball tournament. We have a golf tournament. We have a summer barbecue. We have Thanksgiving luncheons. We've got a Christmas party. We do the Santa parades. Oh my gosh, there's so many other things that we do. We just did a champagne toast last week because we just opened a new staging warehouse. So we get together very regularly, and then plus those 4 times a year, state of the company address, everyone's together. And then outside of that, like Rob really believes in having bricks and mortar. He believes in having offices, professional, beautiful offices that inspire people to be productive and work hard on their businesses. He doesn't want deals to be done in a Tim Hortons or on the counter of, you know, a listing or something like that. He really wants agents to have professional places to meet. So we have a lot of offices as well. So agents, our offices are busy. Like right now, like you probably couldn't find parking at our head office right now. And that's why we like it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And so obviously we have to talk a little bit about the growth, because I saw it in the bio that you submitted, but we haven't even touched on it yet. You came in 4 years ago, 2019. You guys were at 23 agents, 5 employees. Where are you at today?
We're over 75 agents. I have to do a count. I think we're about 76 agents, over 30 employees. So we're over 100 people all in.
Wow.
It's grown a lot, and like a big leadership team now as well. Like then we had a director of ops, and then me as director of sales. Now we have myself as director of ops. We have a agent success manager, a listing service manager, a team trainer, a marketing manager, a director of ops. So that's definitely expanded as well.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, in 4 years, obviously, like a lot of people don't. What's that quote? It's you underestimate what you can achieve in a year and or overestimate what you can achieve in 5, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a big switch, and your transactions have also grown quite a bit, right?
Yes. The transaction growth. Okay. So obviously part of that transaction growth is growth in people as well. So growth in that agent count has contributed greatly to our transaction. So our transaction increases. So recruitment, like if you're running a team, obviously growth of the team is a massive priority. But also when I joined, so we operate in Follow Up Boss as a CRM system. When I joined, it was really just Follow Up Boss was a destination, like almost like a phone book. Like they just basically went in there to grab the client's phone number and never went back in. There were never any notes. There was no follow-up plans. There was very, very little happening in that system. So the leads were not being handled right. And that's why Rob wanted to bring in a sales leader, because he felt like he has mastered the art of marketing. He's mastered the art of bringing in leads. He's a lead magnet, but he doesn't want to keep having to bring that lead in over and over. He wants to have the, systems and processes in place so that the agents are following up on those leads over time to convert them, whether they're ready to convert on day 1 or day 1,000. It doesn't matter, right? Like you want to basically have things in place. So that was another trigger. And that's where the agents really started seeing benefits. Now, I put standards in place for how they need to follow, do their lead follow-up, how they needed to track their leads in the CRM system, what their actions had to be in the CRM system. That was met with a lot of resistance, because adopting new habits, especially administrative habits, is hard for people. And that was where, I feel like Big Brother's watching. You just want to, micromanage how I'm handling my clients. You don't trust me. No. the CRM system is here, and CRM systems for any sales organization around the world are in place to help you sell more. It's to help you be more efficient with your follow-up, help make sure that you don't miss any opportunities. Use it. Like, we've invested in this tool. You're not using it. You need to use it more effectively. So we put standards in place, and we held the agents accountable to that, in the sense that if they were not meeting our expectations in the CRM system, they're paused on leads until they're caught up. So there are some agents who were senior agents at the time, and still today, that were and are paused on leads for an extended period of time, and they don't get any opportunities until they are up to date on their current ones. And that has been incredibly effective for us. So do we have leads that slip through the cracks? Do we, fall short on our follow-up? Absolutely. Like, it's not perfect even still, but it is a million times better. So the growth of our agent count, combined with the agents actually following up and pipeline selling and actually honing their sales skills and things like that, and acting more like sales professionals versus, lead handlers, like when they first come in, that has been a huge game changer. And the agents feel like they have more control. They're able to, they have more predictive models now. They're able to say, okay, I have this many A clients right now. Statistically speaking, that means that I can predict that I'm going to do 9 deals in Q4, or I'm going to do, 4 deals in Q4. I need to get more A clients, right? So they can start to really plan and have a little bit more predictability when it comes to their income.
You just said something so powerful, and I'm totally in agreement with you. And I think a lot of realtors, unfortunately, operate, like 99% of them operate in the way that we probably don't want them to, which is, whether it's having a CRM or not, but just having a list of names, and then, like you said, using it like a phone book, versus having a system that they can follow up with, that they can actually have projections, that they can, look towards for future business, and being a business owner. So I think that's the main difference, is acting as a salesperson versus actually acting as a business owner.
And you might find this too, like being in a role similar to mine. I would say 90% of the people that reach out to join the team, or agents on our team, have zero background in sales. They get into real estate because they love going to open houses. They love watching HGTV. Like, they've just always loved real estate. Like, we hear all these things over and over again, but like, very few people get in and say, I'm like a sales ninja. Like, I love closing. I love negotiating. Like, I love prospecting. Like, you just don't hear those things. So, but what I've found is, okay, then those things are very hard to teach, right? So to get somebody in, like, someone could go through Humber College, they could, be, anywhere from 1 to 5 to 10 to 15 years in the business. If they have not honed their sales skills, like, they might be able to write up an offer better than anybody else in the biz. You're never going to write that offer up if you can't close that lead. You're never going, like, you'll be a glorified tour guide if you are just showing people house after house after house, but never ever stepping up and leading them, never taking control of that client, never, being the I don't even know what the word is, like, being the support that they need. So we talk a lot about DISC personalities on the team. So DISC is a way that you can analyze your personality. So most people, that we have come in, because I see these DISC assessments come in all the time, are on the low to mid level on D. And for D, someone who's a high D, like, let's say, like the 2 extremes, someone off the charts D is very assertive, very aggressive, very competitive. They are very decisive. They make decisions quickly. They act fast. Like, they are like that natural leader. Someone who's a low D is very passive. They take a long time to make decisions. They don't like to, like, ruffle feathers. They're very kind, like, they're a very likable person. They kind of go with the flow. Most people are go with the flows. So if you have an agent who is a low to mid D, who gets paired with a client who is a low to mid D, that is a disaster waiting to happen. They're going to love each other. They're going to be best of friends, but nothing's ever going to happen, because that low to mid D average person needs someone to step up and say, okay, client, first, what are your goals? Talk to me about what your goals in real estate are. Great. You've called the right place. Nobody is better to help you on this journey than me. So I'm going to set you up on a search. I'm going to hand select a few listings. We're going to suggest them to you. We're going to go see 5 properties this weekend. From those 5 properties, we're going to pick 2 or 3 of them that we want to go back to a second time. From that, we can, look at trying to put an offer in, like guiding the process and being that leader, because sometimes people just need someone to step up and tell them you've called the right place. I hear you, what your goals are. I'm delivering on those goals. Now you should act.
I really truly think that's what people are missing, and that's why a lot of people miss the mark and they don't get closings.
Yeah,
we could lead the horse to water, but we can't force them to drink, right?
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
That's amazing. And so for your agents, I don't know if you find this too, but what I find is most brokerages out there, when you're bringing in, whether it's new agents or agents that have been experienced, brokerages aren't very, like, I would say, transparent with agents, and the fact that this is not an easy business to get into. This is it can be simple, like if you do the right things, for sure, but having the wherewithal to like really be authentic and say, hey, it's not going to be easy. It's not like what you see on Selling Sunset. I promise you, but as long as you do these things, you can actually make a lot of money. You can have a great business. So how do you set expectations for people coming into your organization to let them know, like, we're going to help you, but you also have to do things in whatever system process?
It's probably easier being on a team, because it's easier for, it's pretty understood, I think, joining a large team like ours, that there are expectations that agents do need to meet and stand up to. We have a very clear roadmap, and it's certainly not my brainchild. Like it doesn't come from me. It has come from me observing what works and what doesn't work, and kind of putting that together and putting a bow on it and saying, okay, you guys, we can be the Waze of real estate. This is the fastest route to you getting from start to success. Are there scenic routes along the way? Absolutely. But if you ever gone on the scenic route in Waze is always trying to like pull you back to that fastest route all the time. And that's what we'll do, because we know that personalities are different. So just like I just talked about those disc personalities, that agent who is that high D, it's going to be hard for them to at least start anything other than their own way. So you get a high D personality, they're gonna be like, yeah. Thanks for the suggestions. I got this. Like I have the right way to do this. So for those agents, okay, great. We're here to support you. This is, the path to success as we've seen it. But we'll support you along your journey as well. But you need to produce, and we'll meet regularly to make sure that that's happening. And we might need to shift gears at some point, but we'll give you the grace to have some authenticity as well in it. We have other agents that are just textbook agents, and they will just follow our path. And historically, it's been an easier ride for those people, because they are learning from others and they're embracing it. But I think one of the problems is that I observe a lot, and is that the shows like Selling Sunset and times like when the market was insanely busy, it created this false sense of reality of what it takes to be successful in this business. So, someone leaves a job where they worked 40 hours a weekend, or perhaps even more than that. They get their real estate license, and all of a sudden they found themselves working 10 hours a week, actually active in their business. And so I'll challenge agents sometimes, sometimes they'll come to me and say, so us on our team, like we require agents to work full-time. They can't have part-time jobs on the team. They have to be fully committed. So they'll come to me and say, I'm thinking about getting a part-time job. Times are tough. I need to bring in money. I'll say, okay, really think about it. Like, I'm not talking about times that you come in the office and chit chat or, are not really, really productive. Really think, how many hours a week are you working on your future prospecting, working your database? The average answer that I'll get back on that is 10 hours a week, 10 to 15 hours a week of truly going in. And I appreciate their honesty on that, because that's really important in this exercise. Yeah. So in one exercise, I looked back at what an agent made the year before and said, okay, well, based on you working this 10 hours a week, you made over $100 an hour last year. So you're thinking about going and getting a part-time job that might pay you $20 an hour. Before you go and do that, if you're thinking of getting a job that you're working, let's just say 30 hours a week to do in addition to real estate. First, work 30 hours a week on your future in real estate. Like hold
Actually
yourself
give it
accountable to
commitment.
working 30 hours a week. Take a 30-minute lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. Take no more than 2 weeks vacation. Like hold yourself to the standards that you would have employed in that part-time job. And then tell me if this business doesn't work. People just are not putting enough dedicated hours, or they think that they're being productive with their time, but they're really not. Like they're organizing themselves to make those calls, but they're not actually making those calls, or they're sending out batch emails. So I talked to an agent yesterday, and we were talking about, so like, we categorize our leads by A, B, C, and D. So based on the urgency of that lead. So we are talking about the fact that, okay, I want to be unpaused. So I'm trying to find the most efficient way to communicate with my C and D clients they're considering lesser clients, so that I can be unpaused so I can get the incoming leads. And I said, okay, we need a mindset shift here. You don't need to think of it as how can I most efficiently contact my C's and D's. You need to think, how can I most effectively contact my C's and D's? Because you might as well not do it if you're not doing it effectively.
Exactly. Like what kind of remaining business is there in those C's and D's that have been captured by not doing those activities?
Exactly. So you're really, in essence, wasting your time. That's fake time on your business. If you're not thinking strategically and say, like, how do I need to follow up with this client to ensure that I'm going to close them? So, we look at leads that come in, and you probably hear it all the time. This is a shit lead. This lead's not, going to convert. Like this is, they'll pond it. They won't call them back, whatever it will be. It needs to be a mindset shift to say, okay, this is awesome. I've now been able to connect with this client at a very early stage in the pipeline. I'm able to have perhaps a year or 2 or 3 or whatever to build a rapport with this client, so that when they are actually moving through that sales funnel and they're ready to act, I'm in with them. Like we are tight. Like I've built that relationship, versus that new incoming lead. That's great and all, but you have a very short time and a very short opportunity to build that rapport and ensure you're the person for that. So there's 2 different mindsets: shit lead or great opportunity to have a long relationship with this person, to build trust and build that rapport. So like there just has to be this mindset shift, and you're not going to get that by sending out batch emails. You're not going to be effective by really doing nothing personal for that person. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
No. That was like taking my thoughts and putting it into words, because I 100% agree with you. We know that 96% of the transaction and the closing happens in the follow-up. So if people are not doing the follow-up, they're effectively missing the mark or missing out on potential business.
For sure. Yeah. And that you're making your business harder. Like you want to work smart. You want to make sure that every action you're doing is actually contributing to a result, that you're not just staying on pause. Like who cares? Like you got this lead when you were on pause once, and you're not taking it. Like that was a new lead one day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And that's why people keep riding that roller coaster, because they drop the ball on the follow-up and they focus on the transaction. And then again, when they have no more transactions left, they're right back at the start, rather than just continuing to spend a little bit of time nurturing and actually building relationships throughout your whole transaction life, throughout your whole business.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
Amazing. So I know that you want to promote something. So tell us a little bit about the foundations program that you guys have and that you're starting to put out there.
So we've recently launched Golfi Elite Coaching. So you can go to golfielitecoaching.com. And what really was inspired this is, so we have a large volume of people reach out to the team to join the team on a regular basis. We'll have anywhere from, 10 to 15 Zooms a week, fielding those inquiries to join. But we really, like this month, for example, in October, we didn't onboard anybody because there was no one that was that perfect fit. So we usually, of let's say anywhere from 30 to 50 people in a month, we might bring on 3 to 5. So those other people that unfortunately we have to decline, we often have them say, like, can I just pay to be trained by you? Like you mentioned that boot camp, like I really need that boot camp. Can I just sit in on that. Like, I will pay you for it, but I need that training. And so I will not deny, like, our training is second to none. It's really good. And I respect the KW training is amazing. Like, if we've had agents who've been with KW, like they're very, very well trained. But Heather, our team trainer, she's been in the business for decades. She's an amazing teacher. She's incredibly patient. And every time we have an agent go through that boot camp, they leave, and it doesn't matter what their tenure is in real estate, whether they're brand new or have been in the business for years, they're like, holy smokes, that was amazing. Like, I learned so much in those 2 weeks. So what we've decided to do is in week 1 of our 2-week boot camp, we're inviting people in as a foundations program. So we're saying, okay, doesn't matter where you are. This is not recruitment, because chances are we've declined that person at some point. We're welcoming you in to learn through that week. And then the second week will be Golfi specific learning. So in week 1, it's foundational items, doing mock offers, learning how to market yourself, how to set yourself up operationally, how to work within the CRM system, how to write up a listing. So it's a mix of sales and
Operations almost.
Yeah, and actual, the stuff that reinforcing the things that you would learn at Humber and things like that. So they'll learn all that in week 1. And then they'll be free to go and spread their wings after that. And then the Golfi folks will do week 2, which is where they'll learn like our Golfi listing presentation and some of the scripts and stuff like that we use. So we're going to be starting that in January. So we're in building mode right now, building out the different modules. We're really excited again to continue to pour back into the real estate community. And we really, really, really strongly believe this is why we have those win in any market events. Like, people are like, why are you putting this on for free? I don't understand. Well, we want to strengthen our industry. We want to make sure that we have very educated people out there, because I'm sure you'll agree, when you're on the other end of the deal with an agent who knows what they're doing, it's a lot easier to put a deal together. And we need to preserve the integrity of this industry. So we want people to respect and understand the value of an agent. We don't want them looking at the agent saying, my agent was clueless. I felt like I knew more about real estate than they did. Like, that's what we want to avoid. So if we can provide an opportunity for a new agent to get really well trained in that first, for 1 week, they, will likely feel very, very confident leaving. We do have a secondary option as a membership to continue to get support beyond that 1 week in the form of monthly masterminds with Rob, access to email templates and scripts and things like that. And then we'll see where it takes us, but we're excited to see where, what happens next, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an awesome program. I know that you guys absolutely kill it in the Hamilton, Burlington area and Niagara too, right? So I wanted to ask you, like, what if somebody wants to join a team? What are you guys looking for? What are some of the things that someone needs to show up as, or, what kind of skills do they need to have to be part of the Golfi team?
For sure. So it's not necessarily your knowledge in real estate, because we have such amazing training and support that we're confident that we could take any level of experience and help them be an incredibly skilled agent. I'm more looking for a great person, someone who is going to contribute positively to our culture, someone who has grit, drive, who I'm not going to have to be like on their night table, like, wakey, it's time to get to work. Like, I want someone who just has that natural fire in them to be successful. I want someone who wants to be a part of something bigger than them. And who, we are an incredibly collaborative bunch. So, people who are willing to give back, to support each other, to attend that agent open house, to, give that person a hug when they need to, and really just be a great member of the team. So truthfully, I often know if I'm going to, if that person's going to be a great fit within 10 minutes on a Zoom, because if I just feel that warmth in that person, and I think, goodness, I want to be around you. Certainly I know your clients are going to as well.
I love that. Well, if you guys want to reach out to Holly or anyone on the Golfi team, where can they reach you guys if they want to either find out about the program that you guys are launching in January or about joining the team?
Yeah. So if they want to find out about the program, they can go to golfielitecoaching.com. And to join the team, they can reach out to me direct. at holly@golfyteam.com or by calling our office at 905-575-7700.
Love it. Now, one last question for you, Holly, before we let
Yeah.
you go. Who do you know that we should have on the podcast?
Oh gosh. Have you had Ibrahim on yet from Affinity Real Estate?
Yes, we have.
Have you had his COO Miranda?
He actually recommended Miranda, so we are.
Miranda would be
working on it.
amazing. Yeah, she is incredibly smart.
Okay, awesome. We'll
Yeah.
definitely get her on the podcast then. I really appreciate your time. It was great learning from you, and we hope to see you back on here with some more great stuff happening.
Okay, thanks, Anna.
Thanks.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm